Hi, good evening. This is Dr. Vikas Agrawal from Mumbai. I'm very happy to join you for this Facebook Live at Orient, hosted by Cipla. And at the outset, my sincere thanks to Cipla for organizing this webinar. And when they asked me to speak on a subject, I said it's very, very boring. Everybody must be trapped in his house and reading ENT. We have been doing ENT for so many years. So let me talk on something else. So let me share my presentation, which I have made yesterday itself. So it's yesterday and today. So life of an ENT beyond ENT and how to make it complete. So we understand that we all are ENT surgeons and we are in different stages of life. I am approaching 50. Some of you will be in your 30s. Some of you will be in your 60s and 70s. So I can look on this side and I can look on that side. Being in the middle age gives you that advantage. Understand life a little and how we can lead a complete life, not just being a ENT doctor or ENT surgeon. So I bring you greetings from Mumbai. You know, it's one of the hot spots and our lockdown is possibly going to be extended much beyond 3rd of May. So this prolonged lockdown world over has given all of us a lot of opportunity to sit back, relax, to introspect, and to think what we have done so far, what we can do ahead in life, and to understand that finally the basics of life is only about roti, kapda, and makan. Roti, kapda, or makan. So, though we have everything that we require, and we have actually more than that, but finally, what is required in life is nothing beyond roti, kapda, and makan. We are surviving with roti, kapda, or makan. And in fact, anybody in the world today does not want a 7 course meal. Everybody is happy with their share of just dal rice, roti bhaji, and that's it. Why? Is it only because of fear of getting fat? No. It's mainly because of this. You have to clean it yourself. What you produce, you have to clean yourself. In spite of you be a millionaire or billionaire, you have to still clean it yourself. This is what is the reality of roti. Coming to kapda. So nobody requires any of these fancy stuff today. Everybody is just happy sitting at their home doing this. So even a basic cloth is enough to cover your body and you're happy with it. Coming to makan. Having a big house like this is a liability today. And even people who are having such large a house are actually thinking they would be very happy if they had just a small house, because finally it looks good to have a big house, but it's also equally problematic to clean such a big house. So we have understood the reality of roti, kapla, or makan, that we can survive with minimum resources, but we are actually using a lot of resources, which is fine in a world that provides it, but actually we can survive without it and we can have a good life without it. So this lockdown has actually forced us to look at the life cycle by itself. What is the cycle of life? From a small kid to an old man, we all have to pass through this life cycle. And this life cycle, we cannot be happy, we cannot complete this life cycle if we only concentrate on our career and business. That's only a part of it. You can see health and well being, financial, relationship, emotion, and spiritual. They are all part of life. And without that, the life circle or the life cycle does not get complete. Now, what is the goal of human life? Everybody is forced to inspect. Is it only to climb the corporate ladder? Is it only to earn more money? Is it only to earn more fame? No, it is not. Ultimate goal of life is remaining happy, is happiness. You can get happiness from various things. You can get happiness from getting love from your children, from your wife, from your family. You can get happiness from being popular. You can get happiness by being strong, and by being a political leader, being well known, and this and that. So ultimate goal of life is being happy. Now, this circle of life has to be understood, and I'm going to, in the next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to discuss a little more detail on that. So, our happiness depends on what all? What are the pillars of our happiness? Certainly, there are at least three pillars of our happiness: health, wealth, and love. Rest everything is voidable. We can avoid rest things, but without health, without wealth, and without love, we cannot remain happy. And though it seems very nice to say that, oh, money is not required, but money is a reality of life. Oh, it doesn't matter if we live for a shorter period, but you have to live healthy. Even if you live for a shorter period, you cannot live 30, 40 years. You have your children to take care of. You have to live till at least 65, 70. You have to have love in your life. So let's look into what is required. There's no dispute that the greatest wealth is health. We have already discussed, and no other appropriate time to discuss on that apart from this corona epidemic, because we know that diabetics, hypertensive, kidney patients, asthma patients, and heart patients, they are all at much, much higher risk of getting a problem with corona, getting a complication with corona infection. Now, it doesn't matter if you are a billionaire, if you own an aircraft, if you own mansion, if you own an island, it does not matter. If your health is not good, apart from your age, if your health is not good and you get corona, you are simply a bed number so and so. You're simply a bed number. You're nothing more than that. Your millions and billions are never going to be utilized because there's no medicine for corona. So this teaches us a lesson that when it is the time to go, your millions and billions will not really help you. If you're sick, millions and billions will not help. So it's very important to understand that health is beyond wealth. And we have seen that because of this health emergency, all the wealth of the world is getting eroded. So health is the most important thing. Because of health, a chief minister, this is the chief minister of Maharashtra, Uddhav Thackeray, he cannot hire a driver because of health. Our captain of Indian cricket team, Virat Kohli, he cannot hire a barber because of health. So health is supreme, and we doctors must take care of our health first. It's unfortunate that generally doctors are lazy. It's not that they do not have money. It's not that they do not have time. They're lazy to take care of their health, and sometimes they are so busy with their own pursuits that they take their health for granted. So I would suggest, invest time in your health. That is the best investment you can ever make. Invest some time in your health, because see, I am approaching 50. I am diabetic, I am hypertensive. uh, in this lockdown, I had the opportunity to take care of my diabetes better, and I talked to the endocrinologist and shifted on to insulin. I was on tablets, it was not getting controlled. I'm 48 and a half, and I have shifted on to insulin. I'm taking care of my diabetes. When has this time come? In this lockdown. Why not earlier? Because everything was seeming all right and I was busy with my things. It's not the way. We have to invest time in our health. So please invest time in your health. That is the most important thing. Fine. Health is good. Then comes your wealth. You have to invest in your future. If you do not invest in your future, nobody else is going to invest. Your patients, your family, your relatives, they have their expectations from you. You will fulfill everybody's expectations. But when your time comes, If you have not invested in the future, nothing will happen. And here comes the main part of my talk. Everyone requires a home, and you are no exception. So even if you're in a big city, even if the housing is costly, like Mumbai, like Delhi, you must invest in the future. Start saving for it at an earlier stage. You require at least a house to stay till when you become old. So please start investing ASAP, as early as possible in your life, so that you have a good house for you, a decent house for you to stay when you're old. You require savings for your old age. So it's very, uh, we are actually stigmatized when we talk about money. No, no, doctors should not talk about money. You should be saints. You should only serve. Fact of life is that when you go to a supermarket to buy your groceries, you require money. You go to a hospital and get admitted yourself, you require money. Your hospital where you work will not treat you free of cost. That's the unfortunate thing we are facing. So please start saving for your rainy days. Now, ENT doctors, they can be either self-employed or they can be employed. Self-employed can be in the clinic or they can have their own nursing home. Employees can be of the government or of the corporate sector. So I'll start off with self-employed people because a majority of ENT doctors are actually self-employed. They're having a clinic or they're having their own nursing homes. So as ENT doctors, 31st March 2020 has just passed. 15th March was the last date for paying advance tax. Didn't you pay advance tax through your nose? Didn't you feel like being robbed when a large amount of your hard-earned money was paid as taxes? Especially when what we want from the government is not being given to us and we pay a huge amount of taxes. So I'm not trying to sound anti-national. We must pay our taxes. But if there is a way that, why do we pay our taxes? We pay our taxes so that it pays us back in terms of infrastructure, in terms of your judiciary, in terms of your police, in terms of roads and education and everything. Fine. So you pay your taxes, but what if you can pour your taxes, especially income tax, into your investments? What if there was a legitimate way, legitimate, you do not do anything illegal? What if you have a legitimate way which the government provides to pour your taxes back into your own tree or your own plant as your investments? What is wrong with that? So in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll try to explain you how you can do that. So this part of the talk is for people who are paying good amount of taxes. And I'm sure most of us are well placed and are paying good amount of taxes. Let me give an example. You go to a restaurant, you order a dish. Now the dish is for say 500 rupees and there's a huge plate that is served to you. You cannot eat that much. So what do? You eat as much as you can. Either you overeat and sit up in the loo next morning, or you have two options. You ask the restaurant owner or the waiter to throw it in the garbage. That is one option, whatever is left over. Or you ask the waiter to pack it into a box and carry it home and use it for your next meal. So there was a story when Ratan Tata was visiting Germany. A lot of people on his table, his colleagues, left some food stuff on the table. So the waitress actually came and said, "Sir, you can't waste food. Why did you order so much if you could not eat?" They said, "But we are paying for the food." She called the police. She said that money may be yours, but the resources are of the country. So a simple thing like food should not be wasted. So when you are paying taxes, why do you want that your taxes would be utilized by these scrupulous politicians to put the money in the Swiss bank, and then you fight for your money to come back into the system. If you have a way to reroute your taxes to legitimately contribute in your own growth, why not? So if you want to do this, if you want to use this leftover food which is bought with your money, let me tell you the concept of depreciation. The best investment you will ever make is in yourself. That is the saying of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is the leading investor in this world. Is the one of the richest man on the planet, and he has done only investing. He invests in companies, and this is what he says: the best investment you will ever make is in yourself. So now you invest your own money, which you are paying by taxes, in yourself. How? So depreciation is the only legitimate way of saving taxes. Depreciation is the only legitimate way of saving taxes. There's no other legitimate way of saving tax. All other ways, by mean you do tax planning and save taxes, but if you evade tax, you'll be put behind bars. So this term depreciation is the only legitimate way of saving taxes. Let me explain you what is depreciation. So a common term by which you can understand is decay. If you have a fruit, it will decay in some time. So similarly, if you're using some equipment, some premise for your business, it will depreciate over time, or it will decay over time. So the government has valued the rate of decay, and it has given some percentage of depreciation. So how does it work? Suppose you earn 100 rupees. You have an earning of 100 rupees. Now 30 rupees is your tax liability, income tax. So either you pay 30 rupees income tax plus the surcharges which come over it. So approximately 34, 35% or 33% of income tax you pay. That is one option. If you make an investment of 100 rupees in a category of substance which carries 60% depreciation, such as say computer, then you get 60% of 100 rupees, that is 60 rupees, as an expense, because this 100 rupees which you spend on your computer, 60 rupees of that, 60% of that is decayed in the first year itself. So 60 rupees is deducted from your earning, is from your taxable income, which is to be adjusted for taxation. So now your taxable income is, net earning is 40 rupees. So on 40 rupees, you pay only 12 rupees income tax, and plus the surcharges that come along with it. So net saving is 18 rupees. This is the concept of depreciation. So your effective earning, now you do not pay any interest, any income tax on 60 rupees, but you can use this 60 rupees as your white money. This is your money in your hand, because you're not paying any tax on that, but this is the white money in your hand, which you can use for any purpose. So this is the concept of depreciation. Luckily, computers and softwares, they invite 60% depreciation. So within, say, almost 2 years or 2.5 years, the whole thing is valued at zero. So your money will actually get depreciated very fast. The value shown in your books will depreciate very fast, and you'll get a huge income tax rebate when you buy a computer or software. Therefore, you can buy computers and softwares, you can buy laptops, you can buy softwares which are used in navigation. Even the navigation is a machine which uses software. So that software itself attracts 60% depreciation. Life-saving equipments such as multi-para monitors, your flexible scopes, they attract 40% depreciation. So it's pretty big amount. Your motor car would attract around 15% depreciation. So you can buy a car of your choice. So whatever is the rate of depreciation, by that rate, you will get tax rebate. But whatever it is, finally, whatever equipment you buy, say your general equipment will be rated at 15% depreciation. So finally, what will happen is that actual cost of equipments over a few years will be cheaper by 1/3 by because of tax saving. So if you have bought equipments worth 1 lakh rupees, they will cost you only 67,000 rupees, because almost 33,000 rupees will be saved as taxes. So finally, you, in your mind, you buy that equipment only for 67,000 rupees, not for 1 lakh rupees, right? And these equipments or instruments will help you in your professional growth, which will be actually more than the value of the equipments. By this uh, calculation, early in my practice, I could acquire navigation, laser, the S8 stand, the Vario microscope, and all those, whatever was required in the ENT segment. Though I did not have all the money to invest, but I took loan. I used the interest given to the bank also as my expense, and I used a depreciation. So effectively, these instruments, part of it was recovered by the extra earning that came from them, and part of it was saved because of the income tax. So the instruments actually costed me much, much lesser than what actually do they cost. However, instruments will perish finally, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. They will not last your life. And when you go to sell them, they will not give you a great return once they are already used. So you use them, you buy only as much equipment as you really want to use in your professional life, but there should not be any hesitation in buying equipments, because ultimately they are going to cost you 1/3 less, first of all, and then the 2/3 of the value you're going to make because of the extra income that they generate, and the way your practice grows because of the equipment. Your confidence in your words when you use the best equipment is also that much. Real thing is that our government also allows depreciation for building. Almost all the governments on the earth allow depreciation for the building. And if you are using a building for your nursing home or office or hospital, you are allowed depreciation at around 10%. So your clinic, nursing home, hospital building, whatever it is depreciating in your books at a rate of 10%. So over a period of 10 years, the cost of your hospital, nursing home, or clinic is also lesser by 1/3. So you spend at least 1/3 less, because this 1/3 is going to be adjusted in your income tax. I'll just give an example. So if you bought a place for say 1 crore, first year you get a depreciation of 10%. So 10 lakh is the depreciation. You save 3,30,000 of income tax in the first year. So similarly, you keep on saving tax till your whole thing is 1/3 of the value is saved as tax. Now, if you take a loan to buy this premise, what happens? You pay bank some interest rate. You pay the bank EMI, which consists of the principal and the interest. So the principal, whatever you pay, is actually your own money, which is getting into your building. You suppose you bought it for 1 crore, you will finally pay in 20 years, 15 years, 1 crore rupees to the bank, which is finally your building. But the interest which you pay, if you pay 10% interest to the bank, this interest of 10% straight away goes into your expenditure. So if you pay 10% interest and you claim this as your expenditure, you save 30% income tax and surcharge. So almost 35% is that you're going to save on this interest. So you took bank's money, you're paying bank interest. Out of that interest, 10%, 3.5% is saved as your income tax. So effectively, you are paying only 6.5% tax to the bank, interest to the bank. Now, you keep on paying 6.5% interest to the bank per year. Long-term appreciation of this property in our country would be at least more than 6.5%, because this is the value of money which depreciates. Because the money is also today, if you can buy something for say, if you can buy this comb for 10 rupees today, you'll have to spend at least 10 rupee 50 paisa next year. At least 5 to 6% will be the money value will degrade. So your property, even if the value has not arisen, even if it has not appreciated, your property will become at least 6% costlier on an average. So some years it will get 20% costlier, some years it will get depreciated also. But on an average, if you look at the property rates grow generally by the rate of inflation plus the rate of GDP of the country. So at least the rate of inflation, which is going to be 5 to 6% in our country, the interest that you pay to the bank generally beats inflation. So whatever is that, you will never pay to the bank more than inflation. So your property in next 10 to 15 years, 20 years time will appreciate to at least 6-7%, whatever amount of interest you are paying to the bank. Therefore, whatever interest you have paid to the bank, your property has appreciated by that much. So effectively, you get your hospital, clinic, or nursing home building free of cost, because 3.5% which you saved was anyway, the money was going towards income tax. That was not your money. You only put your income tax money into this. And this 6.5% interest, what you have paid, has actually appreciated over time and your building becomes that much. So finally, effectively, you have got your hospital building. You did not pay anything to run your hospital. You paid only to buy real estate, which is yours anyways. You can sell it. You can rent it. You can do anything with that. So that money which you paid to the bank is invested into your building. That money is, see, anyway, what you would have otherwise done. So this hospital now, when you plan to retire, you can rent, you can sell, you can get a regular income. So this is your retirement plan. So otherwise what you do, most people do what? They spend post-tax. First they work. They earn, say 100 rupees they earn. They pay income tax of 35 rupees. They save 65 rupees. Then they invest this 65 rupees in the FD at 7%. Again pay income tax on that 7%. So finally they get 5% return in hand, which is almost less than inflation. This 65 rupees with the return of 5% takes another 7 to 8 years to become rupees 100 again. And then again, what do you do with this money? You put it in real estate, you buy a flat, put it on rent. So if you have to do that, why not simply utilize your income tax to buy your property for you? And when you use it till your lifetime, 20 years, 25 years, till whatever time you want to work. And when you are retiring, put it on rent and sit on rent and enjoy your old age. So this is your pre-tax money. In the other option, you use your post-tax money. So post-tax money is already depreciated because you have already paid tax. That tax is not going to be of any use for your wealth creation. It's going to definitely be useful for the country. I'm not saying anyway, still you will have to pay taxes. This is a legitimate way which the government provides. So you're not doing any tax evasion. This is only a tax planning. So this is how you can have a place free of cost to run your hospital. And at the end of your career, you can rent this place you own, you can rent and enjoy the fruits. Now, with effect from 1st of October 2019, the income tax rates for a company has become as low as 22%. Even including surcharge, the maximum is 25.17% for any amount. If you take for individuals above 1 crore, the amount is 36%, and above 2 crores is almost 40%, 39 point something. It's almost 40% tax. So if you convert your clinic, nursing home, or hospital into a private limited company, you can save a lot of tax, and which is absolutely legitimate. Fine. The company comes with a yearly expense of around 50,000 rupees, and you have to hire a chartered accountant to do all the filings. You can have a one-person company, a single-person company. The filings are much lesser. Everything is vested in you. So your company, though it is a separate entity from you, the property will lie into the company. but it is only you. It's a one-person company. So you can use a one-person company, or you can have you and your wife as a two-person company, three-person company, your mother, your father, or your family company, a private limited company. So the whole property, without paying much taxes, will lie in your company, and you do not have to transfer it to your children. You can just transfer your shares to your children when you're retiring, and your share, your children become the owner of this company, and they can enjoy the fruit. So there's no transfer of property. So there's no transfer of, uh, you know, stamp duty, registration, transfer to one child to the other child. You can give as many shares to one child or other child as you want. So there's a lot of uh, you know scope in turning your business into a private limited company, either one person or a family owned company, and you can save a big amount of income tax, especially if your income is in the higher group. Now we come to ENT doctors who are employees of government or corporate sector. Fine. The benefit of depreciation is not as much as for them as is for the self-employed people, because they can claim depreciation from anything. But even the people who are employed in the corporate sector can buy equipment and claim depreciation on that equipment if they show that their take home is coming because of that equipment also. So part is they are not salaried, they are actually salaried plus incentive is there. For them, the incentive, if it is dependent on the equipment they purchase, then they can claim depreciation on that equipment that they have purchased themselves and they're using for their patients. So this is one thing that corporate people can use if they are on the incentive scheme. Salaried people, both of government as well as corporate, do not have the liberty of using uh, this depreciation of equipments, but car they can still possibly use. You can check with your chartered accountant. However, everybody requires a house, and there's a good amount of tax rebate if you take a housing loan. So rather than being on rent, everybody, whether in government or corporate, must take a house somewhere of their capacity and take a housing loan. If you're taking a housing loan, you are getting tax rebate. And there are many other ways of tax planning by which you can save a lot of money in income taxes. And as I have shown in the last slide here, if you have to retire happily, you have to have your retirement income plan ready. Without income, your retirement can never be happy, and you have to take your family into account on that. And when you put this money, your retirement money, you have to understand that inflation is going to come. The money, 100 rupees, the value of 100 rupees today is going to become much lesser when you retire. So your money should always be, you should always factor while investing your money and look at the compounding of money. You have to put the money where it's getting compounded. So I'm not saying that you put your money into stocks, because all of you are not ready to look at stocks every day, and you should not. You're doctors. Your job is not to look at stocks. Mutual funds. You don't leave your money in hands of your mutual fund manager. The best investment, again, Warren Buffett said, you will ever make is in yourself. So first see what is your requirement. First is your house. You make a good house. You make your furniture. You make as many things as you're going to require for your retirement, and then your money is most secure in your own hands. So even if you're getting a little less return, a fixed deposit in say State Bank of India, nationalized bank, is possibly safer. In Government of India bonds, RBI bonds, for a long term, where they will keep on compounding. You take the money and reinvest. This will give you much more return. Even if money is safe, if it is not growing exponentially, it's worth it, because most of the people actually lose money in the stock market. The only people who make money in the stock market are long term, either very well read long term investors who do not panic, who do not get into greed and fear, because stock market works on greed and fear, or the stockbrokers. Whether somebody earns or loses, stockbrokers will always earn. But if you have not understood and the stock market, please remain away from that. Put your money into Government of India bonds, you'll get 7%, but it will at least get compounded. You'll keep on getting compounded. You take that money, again put it into bonds, get it compounded. You will have enough for your livelihood in the golden age. Now we come to the principle of the jar of life. Now this is a very, very important thing. Health, wealth, we have understood. But till we understand the concept of this jar of life, I don't think our discussion will be over. I'm sure most of you would have heard of this story of this jar and of life. This jar of life represents our life and the time we have to fill this jar. And we have some stones, some pebbles, and some sand. As you can see, this whole amount of the rocks, pebbles, and sand is equal to fill this jar. This is clearly measured to fill up this jar. So this represents that this jar will get full if we fill it in the correct order. Now, what is sand? Sand is all the little things that really do not matter in our life. They're just jargon. They're just garbage, but we still keep on using in our everyday life. That's the sand. The pebbles are the things that matter a little. They are of importance. We need them, but they're not indispensable. Right? So in times of this crisis, we can live without them. But the rocks are the most important things. Rocks, without rocks, we cannot live. And these are the things that we cannot buy with money. So if we start filling our jar with sand, so these are the things which are least important or not important. Menial tasks, video games, being mad at people for silly things. And there's innumerable things that we do in our day-to-day life. We fight with our neighbors for stupid reasons. We try to get one more lecture in that stupid conference. We fight for so many unnecessary things. These are all sand. If we try to fill our jar with sand first, and then the pebbles, which are the things that matter, but they are not really important. And if we first fill our jar with the sand and then with the pebbles, these are the things that, such as our job, our casual hobbies, which you are not serious about, spending time with people that you don't really like, but just because you have to have a little bit of social recognition, you want to spend some time with them. These are the people not really important in your life. Your life is not defined by them, and you're filling your life jar with these things first. So what happens? There's a very small room left for the most important things. And when you start filling your jar with these things, which are most important and which money can't buy, your family, your friends, your health, your goals, doing something that you love. I love singing, my hobby, fighting for a cause. Now you see that so many of things are left and the jar is already full. There's no time. So if you fill your time with things that don't matter, then you will be left with no time for the things that do actually matter. So give time to the important things first. Believe me, everything will happen. It's only a matter of priority. So give time to the most important things first. That means first you fill your jar with most important things. And what are most important things? Your family, your friends, your health, your hobby. If you fill your jar first with that, the most important things, you can see that your jar looks filled, but still there is space for adding the pebbles. Pebbles things do matter a little. You can always fill your jar with that, and you see that those pebbles will always occupy the space which is around. And you still have time, some time left for small things that really don't matter. So you can, with a little bit of shaking and readjustment, you will be able to fill up your jar with the sand. Sand will go and take the space all around the rocks and the pebbles, and will readjust to itself. So it's a matter of priority. If your priorities were wrong, if you set wrong priorities, most important things in life will be lost and your time will be over. You are there to go, and most people are actually unsatisfied when the last time comes. So if we look at the principle of making our priorities right, then we see that there's time for everything. It's not that we do not have time for our small things. We still have time for all small things. So most important is what? Spend quality time with your spouse, because she is the person or he is the person with whom you are going to spend maximum of your time in your life, in your lifetime. If you are married at the age of say 25 to 30 and you live till the age of 50, every night 8 hours you are spending with your spouse, and another 5 to 6 hours you are spending with your spouse in the house. So 13 14 hours you are spending with your spouse. Spend quality time, because when your occupation cheats you, when you're no longer required in your occupation, your spouse is the person who's still going to require you. You're still going to require your spouse, and your kids will be away, but your spouse will always be there with you and to take care of you, to give you the emotional support that you require. Because by that time, your parents will no longer be there. Your siblings may be far away or may not be there, but your spouse will still be there. Second, invest in your relationship. So any fool can be a father, but it takes a real man to become a daddy. It's not a statement. It means a lot. So you have to spend quality time with your children, because at some time you are going to require your children to spend some quality time with you, and that time your millions and billions are of no use if your child is not with you, or not spending quality time with you, because your child may itself herself or himself may be a billionaire or millionaire, but the time that you require does not have anything to do with the millions and billions. Take care of your mom. She deserves it the most, because when you're young, you did not have time to give it to her. When you're, you know, when you will become old, she'll not be there. So this is the time to take care of your mom. Just spending a little time with her is all that she requires. She does not require your millions and billions. Take dad for a walk. Small thing. But as I said, these are the only things you can do. You could not do it when you're young. You'll not be able to do it when you're old. This is the time when you can do it. So just do it. You'll feel happy. And as I said earlier, the basics in life, the goal of life is to remain happy. So if this gives you happiness, do it. Little time for your old friends, your childhood friends. Just a little time. Just pick up the phone during this uh, lockdown and call your friends. They'll be so happy to hear your voice. They have nothing to do with your millions and billions. They just want a small hello from you. Coming to professional circles, thing that we need to understand is that we all have different, we all say as ENT surgeons, we have different professional circles, and all these professional circles have different needs. So first is our patient circle. We all are surrounded by patients every time. And definitely this is the reason for us to become doctors, that we want to cure, we want to help our patients. See, the patients do not require us to become topmost ENT surgeon, the most well-known figure in the country. They do not require us to become that. All they want from their doctor is to be available when they need and to be reliable. Availability and reliability. This is all our patients want. They do not want us to become superstars. Absolutely not. They want that their small problems that they come with to us can be solved. Here, our intentions are as important or even more important than the knowledge that we have. We all have basic knowledge. That's why we have become doctors, and our patients have basic problems. So they know that every doctor that they go to will have the knowledge, but then the role of intentions become important because he's trusting your life with you. So we have to be trustworthy of our patients. This is what they want. We have to have knowledge. There's absolutely no doubt about it. We all have that. But our intentions, our honesty, our true empathy for the patient is what they're looking for. And the moment we do that, our practices are going to boom. Absolutely. Because patients are very smart. They can see your brain, they can see through your eyes and read your brain. So there's absolutely no need to act. Be just straight as you are. If you are honest to them, they will open up to you. They will give you respect. They will give you money. They'll give you love. They'll give you everything. Because anyway, none of the patients can pay you back with only money because their health is more important to them. So be honest to your patients. This is one thing that and they come to you with simple problems. A earache to a patient is as troubling as a skull base tumor or for a sleep apnea or a bad sinusitis. A simple earache for last 5 days, which could be because of otitis externa or impacted wax, and you remove that impacted wax and the patient is happy. So you need not be a great ENT doctor or great surgeon in order to help your patients. Simple things, again, are most important. Learn to do ethical, simple work first. Be master of that. So I'll give you a concept of commons of common. So see, more than 60-70% of the problems that patients come with belong to common of common. That means common questions from common topics, like we did in our multiple choice questions that we used to have in our entrance exam. So patients come with common problems and with common presentation of a common problem. We all know how to treat it. Some patients come with uncommon presentation of common problems, which is tricky. Some patients come with common presentation of uncommon problems, which is again tricky. For these two categories, we need to learn. We need to keep on learning. We need to attend conferences. We need to learn from our, seniors, teachers, say, our journals. Very, very few people come with uncommon problems from uncommon topics. And if you do not diagnose them, if you only diagnose and send them to a specialist, so if somebody has come with a very rare skull-based tumor, I cannot become an expert if I see 2 tumors in a year. If I operate 1 tumor in a year, I cannot become expert of that. So even if I suspect, I send him to the correct person. I send him to Narayan Shankar or Nisheth in Bombay, and I'm very happy. My patients are happy because I cannot become expert of skull base. Likewise, Narayan, when he sees a tongue base obstructive sleep apnea, he sends it to me. So if we are able to tackle common of commons, understand common of uncommon and uncommon of common, then we can leave the uncommon of uncommon to the specialists, super specialists. And believe me, your patient circle will be very, very happy. So keep this fact in mind and see how satisfied you will be. You will never be pulling, I could not learn skull base, I could not learn sleep apnea, I could not learn this, I could not learn rhinoplasty. You need not learn everything. You cannot learn everything. You cannot be master of everything. Learn the commons. Common sense is not so uncommon. You have to know that common sense is the most uncommon sense. And if you develop this common sense, you will become uncommon. Then you have to win trust of your family physician circle, because these are the people who are going to refer you patients. So unless you win trust of your family physician, unless you give result, you speak the truth and you explain them what is done and teach them to understand ENT better, you'll not earn their trust. So your patients and your family physicians are the people who are going to help you build up your practice and earn most of your equipments, your future, everything. Then comes the colleague circle. As ENT, I am talking to you. My aim in talking to you or teaching you something should not be earning that, oh, you will refer me some patient who will come and get operated by me and I'll earn money. That should not be my aim. It should be only academic thirst. The moment it comes for earning, the moment I am trying to market myself in front of you, you're not a fool. You'll understand that. You're a learned doctor. If a simple patient can understand, why can't you? So let me not market myself with you. Similarly, you should not market yourself with your junior ENT colleagues. You should teach them. The whole field will improve. Everybody will do well. When the market grows, everybody grows. So let the market grow. Let colleagues become better ENT surgeons. So from conferences, right from being delegates to faculty, everybody aim should be to disseminate education. And that is the only way to command respect. There's no other way to command respect. The way to command respect is only investing in education of yourself and colleagues, not in politics. That is no way to command respect. We are academically oriented people, and unless we invest in academics, we cannot command respect. Again, the best investment you will ever make is in yourself. So learn, disseminate. That is the only way to now. Now, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, think different. He made the world-class company, one of the Fortune 500 companies, one of the most valued companies on the earth, and yet he died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 56. Look at him, how he was looking. And what were his last words? He could not even eat. Last words: I reached the pinnacle of success in the business world. In others' eyes, my life is an epitome of success. However, aside from my work, I have little joy. In the end, wealth is only a fact of life that I'm accustomed. It doesn't, if you get something new, it excites you. You have a new phone in your hand, it excites you. After 5 days, there's no excitement. You want another thing, it will excite you for some time. You have a BMW, it will excite you for 2 months. Beyond that, it will not excite you. So at this moment, lying on the sick bed and recalling my whole life, I realized that all the recognition and wealth that I took so much pride in have paled and become meaningless in the face of impending death. So ultimately, as I said, your health, your basic wealth, your family, your happiness, that matters. Because whether you see the time on a 1,000 rupee Timex or a 10 lakh rupee Rolex, 1,000 rupees Timex or a 10 lakh rupees Rolex, time will be the same. There's no difference. It will give you the same time. Whether you ride a Maruti Swift of 5 lakh or whether you ride on the top version of Mercedes of 5 crores, it will still take you to the same place. Even if you win the rat race, you are in a rat race. Even if you win it, you'll still become a rat. You'll still be a rat. You'll not become a human. You'll still be a rat. There's no point winning the rat race. And I am at the top, he's at the bottom. This is only a matter of perception from which way you look at it. If a person at the bottom of the line is very happy, and even if you become Ambani and you're unhappy, doesn't matter. So I live my life for my own self-satisfaction and need, not for others to judge. That should be our motto of life. And this is my final slide, that we have to have sense of this circle, that from strangers to professional helpers, to acquaintances, to friends, to family, and then finally to myself. So in our childhood, we were taught to expand. In the middle age, we have to learn, once we have achieved something in life, then we have to learn how to reduce this expansion and again come back to myself. That does not mean I am telling you to become self-centered. This is the circle of life that you have to understand. And when I say self, you have to understand what I mean. Aham Brahmasmi. You have to learn a little bit of spirituality in order to understand you, yourself, and your relation to your family, your friends, your relatives, your colleagues, and everybody else on this earth. So I thank you for your kind attention. It's already 5:57. So almost an hour is already gone. We have still some time for question answers. I'll ask Shalini from Shipla to take the question answers, if there are any. Yeah, she's already sent me comments. Narayan Jankiram for private limited. Okay, Janki, if you are not, I'm sure you must be having a private limited company, but if you're not having a private limited company, from 1st of October, the rate of income tax has come down to only 25.17%. And therefore, if you make a private limited company for your enterprise, you will pay less income tax. And as I said earlier, you can actually avail a lot of tax rebates because of the number of equipments that you buy. So you can have a lot of advantage having a private limited company. So you can think about it, and you can give me a personal call if you have any other query on that. Krishna Santosh, many auditors also won't tell those tips. Absolutely, Krishna. See, I'm a Marwadi. You have to understand that I was born in a Marwadi family. All my family is in business. I am a doctor. And when I do medicine, I do not mix any business with that. When I do business, I do not mix any medicine with that. So your auditors do not deserve a fee if they do not give you these tips. So giving you these tips, I'm not asking for any fee from you. Yes, Sharma has earned money to be put in debt and equity mutual funds. You do. Yeah, so see, debt and equity mutual funds, it's a big subject. Yes. If you are very careful, you'll not lose money. But finally, if you take my words, it's not worth doing an active, trading, whether it is mutual fund, whether it is shares. And if you actually put your money and forget, you'll not make more money than 10%. Right? You'll not get more than 10% compounded. You can easily get 8%, 7% compounded if you put in bonds. But still, you can make portfolios, put some in bonds, some in mutual funds, some in FDs. Samir Bhargo, you can only create wealth from your own business or through stocks. Yeah, Samir, so return via rent is 1.1 to 1.5%. It's correct if you buy the property on today's market value, because it's already heated up. Therefore, the rental have reduced to 1 to 1.5%. If you buy a flat and put it onto rent, you'll not make more than 1.5%. But if you buy a small land and build a house or build a commercial premise, which is very much possible in small cities. Bombay, you do not get land. So it's very much possible to build your own premise and put it on rent, where the yield is good, 5 to 6% yield, very easily to get. Janki, in his opinion, COVID period, people invest in shares. Correct. So see, if you are very careful about investing, this is the period when people are investing in stocks, and the stocks are bound to rise, because finally the world is going to open up. The price of oil today in US market is minus 38 dollars per barrel, minus 38. They're paying you to buy, oil. So this is a changing thing. You can decide what you want to do. Love this talk, Janki. Thanks, Janki. Uttam Agrawal, home loan interest can be claimed, occupy the house, correct? Gopalappa. So there are a lot of questions. Kaushal is saying long-term investing in equity. So what I suggest, that you invest in your own equity. You will earn the most. Okay, and he's saying it's the opportunity. I totally agree with that. If you have spare money beyond your house, beyond your needs, I'm again putting Kaushal, beyond your house, you have a lot of money, you can invest in equity shares. But people who have less money should not invest in equity, because they will lose their mental peace and it's not worth it. Saurav Gupta, refreshing talk in middle of all. Janki, they're throwing stones at boss. Jayaprakash Reddy, yeah, there are so many questions. I really cannot take it. This is already 6 o'clock. Do we still have time? Shalini, can we go on?
Sir, if any important question you feel like, please answer. Otherwise, we close in another 5 minutes.
Yeah. So somebody is asking to sing a song. We'll have another whole session for singing only. And so I think our time is up and we should respect timing. I think Janki's session is going to start at 6. So in respect of Janki's lecture, I also want to hear his lecture. I think we'll close for today. Thank you all for being with me, and we'll connect with you very soon again. Thank you very much.
Please stay back.